Man,
isn't it a little
I'm doing
weird?
great.
It's a little
It's
weird.
a little
It's a
weird.
little weird. I know. I
The
feel
last
like
time I like, I can't remember the last time I saw you. Well, actually, that's not true. I've seen you throughout the years, but I always remember you, from back in the day at Eastern Bloc. So hanging outside on like a fun day, kind of thing. But yeah, I'm doing really, really well. I am embracing life in my aging age. I'm over 50 now,
what?
and life is good.
You are
Oh
not.
yeah, I am. Yeah, yeah.
I had no idea. Listen, firstly, congratulations. Okay,
Thank you.
on two parts. The first part, I feel like when, especially right now, the conversation online is no boomer. Boomer, and I've got an incredible respect uh, for anybody who is older, because the first thing I think to myself is they made it. They made it. It's kind of nuts. Life is short, life is long. The perspective of it all, and if you're able to get to this place, this is amazing. It's amazing. And then the
Yeah.
second part for my compliment that I want to pay to you right now is, brother, you don't look 50. You don't look 50. I wish that if when I'm close to this age that I could look just a little bit, as great as you do right now. I feel like you could set your Tinder profile up to 30 and everyone's going to buy
Well, there was a time I was doing that, but not so much lately.
it. Hey, is this what we're doing? Is this a theme? Is misleading? Is this what we're doing? Is
Hey, I don't know where we're going. This is fun. At
Tinder
first, I was like,
rules?
okay, I'm gonna take some notes and I'm gonna try and remember my history. And then I think to myself, I'm like, I barely remember like I remember history, but I don't remember all the details sometimes. Like, yeah, but whatever.
We're already into it. We're like minutes into the show right now. This is a great opportunity for me to. I'll be real quick because I'm super excited about seeing you tonight. Obviously, many thanks for joining all of us tonight, being on the show, and stoked to hear your stories. And we couldn't possibly tell a breakbeat story in Toronto without acknowledging this DJ hero, from live streams to touring sets to local club sets to masterfully crafted mixtapes filled with music that sent people on a journey. Breakbeat hero, DJ Marty McFly, please welcome to the utility room. You are absolutely awesome, and as I said, we're stoked to see you. One of the things that I wanted to talk to you about, obviously, was the name.
Thank you.
Was you're like a huge Back to the Future fan? I'm just assuming.
Oh yeah. Well, it's funny because so a friend of mine, Michael Harlan, was in this band Acid Test, and I grew up near Young, or I guess Bayview and Steeles area, and so as a teenager, I was a skateboarder. Back to the Future was a thing, and like even my first skateboard from Toys R Us, which near Center Point Mall or whatever over there, was I bought a skateboard. It says as seen on Back to the Future. And I mean, I'm 16, 17. I don't know how to do it at this point, but I kept it up. I learned how to ollie. Next thing you know, I'm ollieing over one board, two board, three board, four boards, whatever. But I met this guy who went to Thornlea, and his name's Michael Harland, and him and Harvey Glazier, and like a whole bunch of Adam. Anyways, a whole bunch of guys from that school went there and skateboarded, and we all got to meet. So one day, out of the blue, this guy goes to me, "Hey, after going to a couple of raves, of course, I'm like, I'm gonna get into DJing," and he's like in this band. He's got like videos on Much Music. He's like, "You know what? You skateboard. You should be Marty McFly." And I was like, "Oh, that's the dumbest thing ever. Like, that's really tough." But it just kind of like stuck, and I kind of glad I chose it. I have mixed emotions about it sometimes, but I've stuck to it. I've never changed it, and with his kind of encouragement, I did it, and it's been that way ever
Did
since.
you ever have that moment where you were like, "I gotta change my name"? Did you ever get like
Oh yeah.
Did you ever get a letter? Was Universal or Amblin ever Entertainment after you, thinking,
No,
okay,
no,
so
no. I was pretty lucky in that regards. Like, but I did come across some other Marty McFlys in the world, and as the internet was growing, I'm like, "Ooh, I better grab that email address or that ICQ number, or what? Not ICQ, but you know what I mean." I had to grab that Instagram, I had to do the thing. But, no, I did come across a couple, and so rather than, it's not my name, like, I don't own it, but I mean, I kinda wanna have an identity that is like, "Okay, Marty McFly breaks, worldwide, that would be amazing." But, of course, I met other breaks DJs named Marty McFly, and one guy particular was in Australia,
Was the spelling the
and
same?
oh, yeah.
Because phonetically,
Yeah,
it's the
there's only
same,
one way
obviously.
to spell.
Right.
Yeah, oh, yeah, yeah.
Right.
The only reason it looks different on my personal Facebook page is because of Facebook. They're like, "You're not a real character." So I PH the fly and, word.
Oh,
So,
that was the clear. That was the all clear.
but this guy in Australia, I sent him an email, Marty McFly, we should get together. You could have your promoters fly me out. I'm trying to create an opportunity. And I reach out to this guy. I was like, you could put us back to back. We would be two fly, and it would be freaking awesome. And let's do this. And I'm thinking, how else can I, like, because other than a mixtape, back in the day, how am I going to get flown overseas? So this was my pitch
Did it
back in the
work?
day. Oh hell no, 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 no. But I did use it maybe 3 or 4 times because I met a few other people in the states that tried that. It goes a little bit closer than Australia, but no, no, never worked.
It's so funny that you said what you and you're bang on. I tried to do the same thing. So I definitely it's one of those things that I'm not quite sure when we start. I'm not quite sure. Again, I'm speaking generally, but you don't really have the mission. I was too excited. Me, I'm speaking about myself. I was too excited about music. The very idea that I'd come home from school and I had turntables in my room and a mixer and I had 20 pieces of vinyl and it was go time. Like this was a glorious moment. I wasn't like Jello. You know what I mean? Like that didn't it did happen, but not at the inception moment. That's not how it was. And I didn't put a lot of thought into it because I just got asked this the other day. Someone sent me a DM and they said, Jello, like because of like you're jiggling. And I replied, I said Jello because it's my initials. So and if you're on my real Facebook, which I don't ever touch anymore, it's just there so I can run my page. But if you're on my, it's got my full name on my real Facebook, and you'll see JLO, right? And my whole family was calling me Jello. So when I started doing it, that's where I went, JELO. And someone said, well, why? I said, well, it's my initials. They said, well, where does the E come from? And I said, well, every once in a while you got to drop it in there. So
There you go.
it, I was there's no drum roll or little rib shot. So one of the things I didn't take into consideration, which is and I'm relating to you here from what you said, is Jello is a common name in South America, like as much as Stephen or Joshua or
Oh, interesting. Oh,
Michael
I did not know
or
that.
Mark.
Oh,
Yes, it's
fascinating.
like
Yeah,
yeah. So
it's a thing.
I had a tough time going out into that area to play shows because right away the name would go across the desk, promoters would read and be like if I put this on a flyer, someone's gonna think their neighbor's playing. Like it's like how am I supposed? I'll say it's from Canada. Be like, it's just
No.
it didn't read that way. And again, I'm relating to you on the email and grabbing all the different URLs and addresses. I tried to do the same thing as well, and that's where I discovered that there was a few other Jellos. There's one out there that uses a W at the end of his name. Recently, over the last year, someone started actually going by DJ Jello, and we had to send the manager a message saying, "Hey, that's cool that you're new and you're very excited, but you should probably change your name because if you don't, this is what's going to happen." And then, of course, that ended real quick. So it's wild. When you first started DJing, the internet was really in its infant stage. So if
It
you
it
had
really was.
if you had like a name that, and this is the thing, alias, why not just go by your actual name? And
Well,
why
here's the
didn't
thing.
I?
So I'm gonna tell you, and it's maybe 3 stories in one, but I think this would work because I I I started raving first. I started raving in my 20s. I was 20, I left, Toronto, I moved out west, and I raved for a couple of years, and I was introduced to an after party. There was turntables there. I bought them. I bought one, I should say, and I bought a shitty one and a mixer, and that's how I got my start. And I should say I have had another DJ name because I those raving years are a fun blur. the best blur of my life. And so, yes, to answer your question earlier, I did have another DJ name. I went by the name Marty, MAR hyphen T, and my little logo was a pair of glasses on the letter T. That was my jam. And I was getting booked like after a month of DJing, bringing my turntables to shows and things like that, and just trying to like tell the promoter, "Hey, I'll open," and you save $50 on a set of tables. After time, I had two, of course. And anyways, after a while, I moved back to Toronto and stuck with Marty McFly after that point. Holy shit.
I think
I can't believe I forgot my original DJ name, but,
I
uh,
was
but
just while
yeah.
you were saying it, I'm
Yeah,
like, gosh, I think I remember seeing that on a flyer. When you're bringing all
yeah.
this stuff up, one of the earliest forms of meme, I think, were rave flyers. I mean, if we were to go before that, the inspiration came from something. Obviously, it didn't just emanate out of its own, culture moment.
No,
Mad
no, it was like
Mad
a rave,
magazine, Cracked
oh,
magazine.
perfect
So
example.
so
Yeah.
these
Taking something and making it,
Right. So they take,
their own.
instead of like Tide laundry detergent, they'd put like, Ride, and it would be like for like
Yeah.
a motorcycle or a bicycle. I'm being very, I'm not a comedian, clearly, although I've tried my best on this show and failed. But I will say that I think that this is really, really early meme. But then when we think about some of the rave flyers and the T-shirts that we were seeing, this was common for people to take a very well-established logo, word mark, a brand, an image, and then add
Yep.
a requirk of the text, rearrange the letter, or maybe take away letters and put your own letters in to create that word that you were trying to do. This was a thing. It felt like it was part of the culture. You'd almost expect that if you were going to a rave, you'd at least see a dozen clever T-shirts that were, and be like, "Hey, look at that! It should say
Yeah.
Esso, but instead it says, weed." So,
Oh yeah, it was. I love that because they're taking something that is common and just making it fun, and and then you're at a party in a fun atmosphere, and maybe you buy this T-shirt that's a memory, or I should be more specific, like stickers. They may be all over someplace, because you could take them home and put them in a book and save that stuff.
mhm.
I think I've got some on my turntables right now, like that are on there. Oh no, yeah, there's a couple on there.
Really?
Support your Canadian DJ. Oh, I did a little tidy. Oh yeah, instead of Swatch, it says Snatch.
Right. Right. Exactly.
Instead of Radio Shack, it says Radial
So
Slut
was this
right
the
on the sticker.
connection between having an alias as a performer? Was this where it came from? Is that we saw stuff collectively that
For
was a
me, no.
rearranged
For
idea, and then that was what we want. We didn't want to just be ourselves. We wanted to be more than that. Isn't that the point of the alias?
I could see that being yeah, well, for sure. Because once you embrace your alias, then it's just gonna kind of grow and morph into the direction that you want. When I originally was deciding on an identity, I guess after having the option to do that, I was thinking to myself, my family is first generation Canadian, or having moved from Holland after the war to live in Toronto, so I'm first generation Canadian. There's not a lot of Van, me in the phone book, and my biggest fear is that some fun raver that I met at a party is gonna look me up in the phone book, see my parents' address. They've been in there since probably 19, whatever, same number, of course, with your parents having the same number forever. And I was worried they were gonna be like, "Hey, I saw your son DJ and he did XYZ. It was fun. It was bad. He was awesome. He sucked. You're going to bother my parents." I was like, I need a different last name. So, really, that is where the last name came about. And it was so important to have something different. And my first name being Marty, all the chips just fell right there. And yeah, yeah, yeah. I wish I.
That's
And
the
then
superhero
it kind
thing,
of
isn't it?
grew.
Isn't that the superhero thing? Like, you can't let your true identity be known, because otherwise the villains could come after your family and friends. But in this case, you're not.
That's
It's it's not a villain.
That's true. Yeah. No, it was at the time, it was a real thing. It was, just about, uh, things were so different and big, and last thing you want your like now, like I'm an adult, and but at the time I was doing things that weren't the greatest, and so you don't want mom and dad to catch on to some of the more uh, riskier times when you're enjoying life in your 20s and 30s.
You were going out to raves. Had you had turntables? You didn't have turntables. I think you brought this up, and I may have missed it.
I bought them about 2 or 3 years into my raving
So when
experience.
you were on the dance floor and you're coming across all of this different music, what was it that made you say, "Okay, breakbeats"?
The sampling was my favorite. If there was a song um, that had a sample of something that I remembered from high school or just something popular on the radio. I really liked how something was just simply sampled and reworked and bootleg, if you will. Um, I mean, that's really what brought me in. So, the first one I can remember, real specific, was Encyclopedia Funktanica by DJ Icy. It had a Shaka Khan remix, and I remember, being 15 years old, trying to break dance, and Shaka Khan had that cool video, "I Feel for You," and kids did all like the cool moves and stuff like that. And so here I am as an adult going, man, this track is awesome. And I kind of, started with Icy and stuck with it. And I dabbled in some other genres as well, but I've always just stayed true to breaks because, yeah, I just like it.
Were you were you shopping and considering the history of the genre while you were doing it because of the sampling? Was so I guess what I'm saying is that when you first started shopping for the music, you're moving with the time that is currently happening, the style of the genre. Because I
Yes,
mean, when we say breakbeats, I mean it's a massive umbrella. It's the same way house
it's
or
huge,
or right
global.
or
Yep.
it veers off into a giant web of subgenres. And when you're encountering this, when you're going into the record store and you're coming across the genre in all of its freshest state, were you thinking to yourself, okay, I want to go here and go on, or were you mixing it up? Were you like, I'm gonna shop for what's happening, but where the fuck did this music come from? I want to know, so I want to start grabbing some of the classic stuff of where it was birthed. Was this a thing, or
It was not. I ideally, my favorite thing was going to a record store blind. So I a and the only time I would really go back is if I had heard a song that I would like, and I would keep that song in my mental memory. And if I was at a record store, anywhere where I may have gone shopping, and I remember that particular track, that's probably about as far back as I might go back, thinking about something that was older that I might not have had that maybe I could find somewhere else. But no, I always kind of liked going to the store, going, do I like the song or not? And if I didn't like the song, it went into a no pile. I didn't if I liked it, even if I couldn't use it, I would still get it. And I built my collection based on just like kinda liking everything that I in that manner. Um, but at the same time, now that, like I was saying, I was older and I've had a chance to acquire new music, sorry, older music from back in the day, maybe stuff that I've missed. A good example, Big League Chew always played, oh my god, I can't remember it, and he always played it.
great records?
It's killing me. It's killing me too. I don't
That
wanna
that
sing it, but anyways, it was one
I
track he
think we
always
should go
played, and
there.
I
We
fucking
should go
love that
there.
track. I can't
Uh,
remember it now. I wanna start digging. Anyways, but, here we are, like, 20 years later, and I freaking got a copy of it, and I'm like, "Okay." And now, like, I'm playing it out whenever I can because you know what? I didn't really get a chance to play it back then. I had to go see Big League Chew play it because, only so many records at the time, and, like, here we are in the future. I'm like, "Okay, fuck, well, I can," now I can, kinda relive a little moment by dropping that old school flavor and sharing that with people who are listening now, at least online, as I've been doing. But um, oh man, it's driving me nuts. I don't know.
I feel like we're actually kind of in the start of a rave nostalgic moment where stuff is going back to to what was, instead of, I don't mean what was, 2019 before everything stopped.
Yeah.
The the classic stuff is working very well for streams. This is the conversation right now because there's so many labels and songs that were deleted. I mean, maybe that's not the right word to use. It's out of print, and
Right.
whoever owned the masters for this stuff never brought it to Spotify, Apple Music, etc. So if you want to go and play music on your channels, you have to actually kind of go back because it won't register. Shazam, etc., and all the other algorithmic pieces that could pick it up and identify what the music might be are going, we don't know what it is, so away you go,
Yeah.
and so it makes a lot of sense, and it's one of the things that I've considered as well. It's not this isn't just my conversation. And when I think about breakbeats, the genre I felt had a massive exploding moment, um, and it felt like it was like one, two, three, and it was like Prodigy, and that was, and I get it, mixture of hardcore and drum and bass in there as well. But this is a broken beat, and
Yeah.
then Chemical Brothers, which brought in a bit of like a slow burn idea, but it was still very heavy,
Mhm.
and then that got chased with the Fatboy Slim explosion, and then I felt that just went on for a while. Um, his first two albums were just it's breakbeat heaven, is it not?
Norman Cook.
Better Living Through Chemistry, Everybody Needs a 303, I think is one of the mightiest breakbeat
Oh
tracks
yeah,
ever. You
everyone needs
brought
a
up
three to
DJ
three.
Icy. Hopefully I'm not
Everybody.
spoiling the big question at the end, but BBRR Go Go as well. I think to myself, is that's like it comes on, and even now I'm just like, yeah, yeah. You know, these are like certified moments that I remember. Dance floor explosive energy. Speaking of explosive energy, and speaking of a sense, I remember yours. And I remember that it went from word of mouth at the shows. And then I also remember your mixtapes were wildly popular. I'm watching you right now live, sitting in a room. I don't know, we got 1,000, 1,500 records right there within eye shot. I think to myself, like, when you were doing these mixtapes, were you shopping simultaneously? Were you only thinking of freshies? Were you like, no, I need to have all the hits? How
Oh no.
what was?
So the first one that I made was probably was the one that when I had just moved back to Toronto and I needed a tape because I didn't really know anyone, and so I kind of picked tracks that were new and old because um, it just kind of went with what I was doing. And I wanted to, so for example, on the one side, I was really focused on had to have a great intro. I watched Back to the Future. I came up with the DJ name. And there's one line in there. It's like, "You're good, Marty. You're really." I'm like, "What the fuck? This is made for me." So like, I'm sitting with the movie and a VHS cassette and a tape recorder. Because it's ghetto and you're trying to get the audio. You just can't rip things back then. And starting my tape with that intro, a song, and then the next song, and the next, and I started just kind of going across. And I got to a point where I said, okay, at about my tape's going to be 60 minutes. I got 20 down. I want to just kind of I know what I'm going to do at the end. This song's going to go here, and I really calculated where you would want to do the drop. A lot of times I love mixing on the fly. You're just kind of feeling it. You're like, I need a track right here. I need a beat. I need something. I need an acapella, and you drop it. But with this tape, it's forever. It's like yours forever, and I was really focused on it. I know I did multiple times, because you got a do-over. If you make a mistake, I'm not doing it on an 8 track. I'm not using digital software. I'm straight up hitting record, and 30 minutes later, this is gonna be my tape, and that's how I wanted to record it. So I layered it that way, thinking about it. Live sets are sometimes not as planned out and have room for error, but that first tape was pretty solid. The second side, sorry, was more of a um, um, breakbeat, less funky, more techy. techie break, if you will, but still had a lot of the old school hip hop samples that I was looking for, some Cheech and Chong references. Yeah, good times. So that was probably my one of my better tapes I put together. And at the time, I was working at the Buy and Sell newspaper, so it was called As Is. I used their print graphic because I didn't know a graphic designer at the time. I'm using like their software. I took a couple ads, I made my own, set it up in print, and then off to Kinkos because we did that back in the day, and printed it off. And man, oh man, that was your calling card back then for a DJ. It was like
Right,
here's what I sound like.
right, right. I mean, I think it's still the same today. It's just that now the mixtape is about having your own songs on it rather than other people's
Oh,
mixtapes,
100%. Yes. Oh, yes.
right?
Yeah, yeah. Producing is, I mean, that is uh, if you're making that track, that's your track. You own that piece of creative art that's been made, and fuck, I just love it. So, that's why I'm always shopping. I'm like, okay, who's new? Who's making new tracks? Like, who is got um, new stuff coming out. Like right now, there's this guy called On the Mic, and when you go to the Beatport Top 100 right now, I would say about 40% of the tracks are his, maybe
Yeah,
60.
I've definitely been paying attention to some of his releases.
And like
It's
they're
he's
I mean,
capturing it,
yeah, and like, part of me thinks, was there any um how fast was this track made? Was there a labor of love put into it, or are we just like banging shit out? Because if we are, I like it, but you talk about algorithms, I can't play any of them unless you're listening to me live stream. Um, so I don't know. I love them. I like searching for new music. I don't know what we're talking about anymore, but I love breakbeats, and I just want to say that over and over again.
I was remarking about the ascent because after obviously the mixtapes and becoming super popular and now you're all over Toronto. OneGroove.com happened,
Holy
and
shit, that was insane.
when OneGroove.com happened for you, I felt like I mean I'm jump in. I have no idea. This might be wrong, but I believe you had the most popular show on the station,
I would say in the top 5 for sure. Capital J had a show that was super
right?
popular.
Right?
Mark Oliver,
Right.
those 2 names come to mind for sure.
Those, you know what? I not your step. So the three of you were like you had a show. You had sponsors that were going on. You were
I
giving
did
stuff
have some
away.
sponsors.
You had live callers calling in. At it was real radio that you were running, and it was wild. It was wild to see. I had my show, and I just showed up and smashed it around in that booth. I always got they had two booths. You remember they had the main room,
The
which was
main
I
room, yeah,
guess
the
like
nice
the A
big and
floor,
yep,
and then there was the small room. I was in the small room doing my show, and
right.
I remember
Same.
Don always used to bust my balls and come in and say, "You've got to talk," and I'm like, "I'm here to play music," yeah. Um, everything I
Oh,
need
man,
to
that
say
show
is
was
in the
amazing.
songs.
I
Did you
I
hear the
I'm really
words?
happy I had the opportunity to just kind of play music, be fun and creative. You're right, we had a sponsor. We had Chills as a sponsor, and they were so great. They had a manufacturing plant in Peterborough, so they would send stuff all the time. And it got to the point where it was like, okay, well, my show was from 2 a.m. until 6 a.m. and we had a 4:20 time slot. So we had callers on the radio calling in at 4:20. And I mean, we tried to be like creative in the sense that because you would say, "Hey, call the number, what 1-877-1 Groove or Groove One." I can't remember, and people would call from all over North America, really. But specifically, it was like we got caller number 405, and like we're going up to 1,000, and it was just all kind of what do you call it, entertainment of the mind, theater of the mind, and so we would just have a good time. Every week. Mark Oliver was the DJ on before me, which was really cool getting to know him over the time as well. I really didn't really know him. He's like freaking Mark Oliver. So like, but it was really great having a chance for the time that I was there to get to know him and be able to feature music, breakbeats on the radio, promoting shows. Um, Yeah, that was a solid good time, and they paid us to be on the internet. That's never happened in my life again.
Yeah, that's right.
I can't
Yeah,
believe that.
yeah. I mean, it wasn't like we were making
Yeah,
we were making hundreds of thousands of dollars, doing it, but I was
no,
happy
but,
about
it was enough
every
to come
episode.
down
It was at
and
least
pay for
four or
some
five
tracks.
records, brand new. So I was like, okay,
Oh, that's right, brand
that's
new
right,
records
brand
every
new.
time, and you're like, "I'm gonna get this for this show because I know I'm gonna play these new songs this week." Just got them at Eastern Bloc, got them at wherever I'm shopping, um, um, and I'm gonna play them.
I mean,
And so, and that's where many of these came from, was just from, "Okay, this is what I find hot this week," and I've been building on that, my whole
it
life,
was
really.
useful to me. I worked at Eastern Bloc and never got a paycheck. I was there for years. I maybe made.
Wow, I did not know that. I figured everyone would have
Oh
known
no,
something
no,
there.
no. We were paid to work there. We were paid, but
Oh,
but
oh, oh,
but
forgive
but
me, okay.
Thursdays would come for payday, and I'd get
Oh,
and
yeah,
I'd get
okay.
I'd get handed a slip of paper to be like, "You owe us $25." Like, you know what I mean? Like, and I'd be like, "Huh, all right." So yeah, I worked at Eastern Bloc for 2 years, I think. I'll bet you Demonic would know the
I
real
can't
answer to
remember.
that question. And I think maybe I got $500 over the course of those 2 years. Maybe I'm guessing. I'm being generous, but I built my record collection there, and there was a lot of advantage. When we were all there, it was we had you had two breakbeat heroes in there. You had Demonic and Rob G. And
Yep,
then and
and, DJ Blake, do you remember him as well? He was there, I think.
oh
Blake,
my
I forget his
God, I
last name,
love that dude.
but between the 3 of those guys, I mean, that's who you were coming to see when you were buying
because
breaks at that
because
store, like,
like Dan was peak hour main room breaks, and Rob was too, but he did I think one more this is browse. I remember when Rob said this, I was like, browse. He's like, breaks and house. I just went, yes.
I don't
You didn't
that
hear
that
him say
works for
that?
me, I could handle
Oh
that.
my God, he used to say it
I've
all the
never heard
time.
that
Yeah, it was
before.
great. It was great, and it was like it was became it's like for me. I was like that's it. I went off and said this to other people and made them turn their heads when I said it. But yeah, I built my record collection there. We were all able to order what we thought was going to be obviously not just what would make the store awesome on the shelves, but what we liked as well. And we were given a bit of leeway. So like if it was like taking a chance on a new label or a new artist, there'd be a bit of a chin scratch or some scrutiny, like a bit of a microscope over that selection. So 2, 3 copies of that. But if it was obviously like a Fat Boy Slim record, let's bring in 15, 20 of those. Like because they're gonna
Right,
go
right,
for
right.
sure.
It would have been a tough guess for sure, because, well, it comes down to money and running that business.
Back then we all used to sit on the phone with the distributors. They'd literally they'd be like, "Here's 30 seconds of this record. Do you like it? Listen." And you'd be like, "That's
Yeah,
right."
yeah, quick
But
listen.
we were also sent a great deal of promos and white labels from the distributors, from all the different distributors that we were ordering from. And so, like any given shipment week, we'd probably have 100 promos going through that store. And not everyone, either on the 4/4 breakbeat side or the drum and bass jungle side, we wouldn't grab all the promos because there was some stuff obviously we were fair, like, yeah, that's we're never going to play that. So, and we had those honest moments before the stores. It would be all of us on our side and the team on the other side crowded around, opening the boxes, going through the promos, and then having the list so that we could be like, oh, this one's dope. Okay, yeah, let's get a bunch of these. And then of course, one of us, assuming that we liked it, would end up leaving with the promo, and then
Of
and then
of
having
course,
that record for 2 weeks or 4 months before it was actually released, and we were able to rinse it at all
that's
the
the best.
shows,
Of
right?
course.
Which
No, that was how you rocked it back then. That was good
it
times.
because it's what we were talking about before. The mixtape was the calling card, the live sets too, to some degree as well, and what you had in your box, I think at that time, and maybe to some degree still, was more important than the technical aspect of what you could actually do.
Oh, I'll take that compliment. Yeah,
And
absolutely. I had music from West Coast Vancouver. I had just been DJing there for 5 years, collecting music out there, and, I don't know how, if out there they had different distributors than, say, in Toronto, but I had music from there, and I can only assume it wasn't in Toronto. I don't know. I'm not
No, I
sure.
mean I was generalizing. I wasn't just calling you out. I mean, I think you're a fine DJ. You know,
Oh, I know, I
yeah,
appreciate that. But I have my moments.
we all have. But and what I was saying, I mean, so let's think about this for a sec. Could you imagine? Um, Pick someone, anyone, someone relevant and recent. Dua Lipa. Can you imagine Dua Lipa coming out onto stage for a concert with all the music that she's made and walking up to a player and hitting play and hands up and be like, "Yo!" And then that's the show. To me that seems strange. Does that not seem strange?
It seems a little strange.
So so
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it seems
so
strange.
in I feel like when it comes to electronic music, this is the one area of music of where it gets a pass. That idea gets a pass. It's like, even though you made all this music, come on over. You've never DJed a party before, no problem. Come on over, play on these players and play at the show. Your tracks are amazing. They're super popular. You can't DJ to save your fucking life, but sure, step up in electronic music. This I feel like you'd never see that in hip hop.
Oh,
That
no.
would
No, no,
just
no,
never
no.
fucking happen, and you would never see it in rock. It would just never happen, right? Or if any other genre, I feel like you just never see that happen. But with electronic music, yeah, good to go. And I've wondered why. I've wondered why. Do you remember, for example, flyers coming out, and there would be the separation? Promoters would actually be like, "This is the producer, okay? They're
Right.
playing live," and like, out Cosmic Baby at Destiny showing up with like a Kurzweil and like Moogs and Rollins and just surrounded by keyboards and just moving from piece to piece. And yeah, there was a DAT player going running the kick drum the entire time, but so fucking what? I mean, it was a little more. I'm just if you
It had a little bit more input than just pushing play and standing back and going, "Okay, I made these tracks and I'm here, and you know what? We're probably just gonna listen to the song that I made with you, and I'm gonna stand here and in a conductor format because I did make the song, and people are gonna dance to the song to the person who made it. That's just how people are dancing to artists, I guess, these days in an electronic capacity. I even think today, like for example, I was DJing earlier today, and I have a new controller. I was using it, and I don't really know how to use some of the features on it. So the pitch is getting away from me, and it's a little off. And someone's like, "Oh, you're a little bit off." And I was like, "Yeah, well, that's shows you that this is real shit right here where I'm not pushing play." You
right.
know? Yeah, okay, sure, my tracks are on an SD card on the front of this thing, but, these are all individual
So
tracks,
no
and
sync
this
for
is
you,
really happening. It depends on my day. I like it. I use it. I
right?
encourage it. Like, I don't mind it at all. If it helps somebody, for somebody else appreciate music and get used to it and learn timing and things like that, sure. Because I would also say in the same breath, well, you better learn how to produce too, because really, because you want to be able to DJ your own tracks, which would be, something I would encourage someone to do. But, yeah, no, I don't mind the sync button at all. I don't really use it all that often. It's there. If I'm DJing and I've had 4 or 5 drinks, I'm using it. Like, I'm gonna push it, and it's gonna make sure that, at least the dance floor is gonna have a good time and make sure that everything's, smooth and working. It's there for me if I need it.
Have you
So,
had a
I don't know.
panic
I
moment?
gotta obviously, I'm like, do I'm like, I hate it, I like it, do I use it? Sometimes,
Have you
sure.
had a panic moment? Have you been in the middle of a set where it started going wrong and it all fell apart?
Oh, yeah, and on vinyl too, like lifting up the wrong needle because you're looking left and you have a dyslexic moment, you lift the wrong record off of it. And in that moment, you kinda gotta look at your audience and be like, "I meant to do
Right.
that, and let's put it back on." I don't know, like, you just kind of deal with it as you make stupid mistakes, like, sometimes shit happens, you have a lot of when you're mixing, a lot of things are going on, and heaven forbid someone just distracts you, and then you're thinking left and right, and Oh, man. Yeah, I love a good mistake.
Feel like the moments that you're able to get out of it when the mistake is made, how fast you're able to correct it and get it back on track. That's real magic right there. I've
Yeah,
talked about
and
this
especially with
before.
technology now, like go ahead.
No, I was just
Well, I was gonna say with technology, it's great because if you're like, for example, with a record, if I have less than 30 seconds left, it's gonna be a very quick mix. It's gonna be in, out, and we're gonna be into the next song before you know it. But with our digital age, I mean, I can set the controller to go into an 8-bar loop in case I've lost track of time because I'm talking to my wife or or I'm like, I'm at some kind of function.
right.
Um, uh, I don't know why I said my wife, but if she's listening, I love you, babe. Thanks for watching.
Utility room, the home for romance. Marty, was there a specific show that you could think on here in Toronto, that you kept you awake all night long because it was so incredible, the energy was uber strong, and that it's still to this day when you think about when someone asks you, and here I am, I'm the someone asking, what was that one great show where the energy was so strong and you couldn't turn it off?
Oh my gosh, so many great shows. I can't
Lucky
even
guy.
I wanna say eras, more than eras than shows because
Okay.
Hullabaloo for me was an era. This is a happy hardcore company, and the energy of Candy Kids and, I'm always felt like I've been a candy kid or a party kid, if you will, and so, yeah, like, that was to me, that was a good time, tons of energy. I can't think of specific shows there, the Daft Punk show was a Cyrus 6-year, I think. That one sticks out to mind. I remember
Holy shit. Daft Punk,
sitting on the dance
DJ
floor.
Sneak, DJ Hype. Was
Oh my
SS at
gosh,
that
yeah.
show also?
I don't know. I had a hard I had a nap a little bit through that party and then woke up in the morning, but I
Get out!
definitely I was there.
Little rave kip?
Oh man. I Yeah, what had happened to that one? That doesn't matter. I think I drank the wrong water, and it was at the time when, like, GHB was a thing, and they were like,
Oh
"Don't drink
no.
someone else's water," and I was
Right.
sitting on the floor, I was surrounded by some people, and I drank the wrong water, like, I'm that guy, and so I don't know what time it was like 2 or 3, and I thought to myself, "Okay, I don't feel great,
Oh
but I
no.
don't feel, like, in trouble, so I'm just gonna go crash in the car," and I
Holy
did.
shit.
So I'm like I told 2 people, I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna go in the car," and they're like, "Yeah, whatever." Thinking whatever, but I felt fine, and, I don't think it wasn't a scary moment, but other than the fact you're like, "What the fuck? I just drank
You're
something that's."
scaring the shit out of me right now. That's just so crazy. It's happened to me.
Another you know
It's
what?
happened to me
Another
twice, actually.
has it? Yeah,
It has. It's
it's
happened
not
to me
fun.
twice. And both
My my
times I was
my
able to save
relatives in
myself.
Holland, every time I go visit them, they're like, "When you go out, you watch out for the people, they put things in your drink," and I'm just like, "Oh, okay. Okay."
I swear to fuck, I ever caught someone doing that.
Yeah, oh, it'd be the
It's,
worst.
yeah, I would lose
Because
control.
you didn't ask for it, and me, I didn't ask for it either. It was just there's all these bottles on the floor, and one of them I thought
What a
was mine, and
treacherous move! And that clearly, yeah, no, I know someone didn't do it to you. I'm speaking like
yeah, nobody
what a
did anything wrong
treacherous
to me.
move, though.
It was just a mistake. But
Yeah.
on the flip side, another party that just popped into mind is Shambhala. I got to uh, I got to play there 1 year in a jungle pit, and that was a really good time. And the only reason it comes to mind was one of the first times where I thought, "Okay, I've made it. They have given me food vouchers." I'm like, "I get a food voucher? What? I've never heard of this before. This is great." And they're like, "Yeah, you take this and you give it to someone, they're gonna feed you." And I'm like, "Well, I'm only DJing Fridays. Yeah,
Was
this
the
is Saturday
mechanic?
and Sunday." I'm like, "This is amazing." Like this I felt so catered to, and it was one of those aha moments.
Yeah.
And I think about other. I just, what I'm thinking about. I can't think of defining shows. Um, I want to call you Josh, but fuck, I look at you and I'm like, the only thing. Every time I look at you, you know what I hear in my head? J to the E to the L to the O, the J to the E to the L to the O. I got this record from you. It was like a little cut on there, if I'm not
It
mistaken.
was a mistake. It was not
Well, it was
supposed.
the best mistake ever. It
It
was
was not supposed to be
amazing.
included on it. Yeah, it was.
Well, I'm glad I got a
It
copy
was
of
on
it,
the
and
dad, and I think they just cut it because it was the second. There was a second cut on the dad, and
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool. No,
Yeah,
I
I
like
I
it.
don't even have that
Did you
wax
press that
anymore.
at Stickman, by the way? Did you have that press at the Stickman factory?
I have no idea. That's a question for Rob G. Rob G cut my first song.
Oh, okay.
He cut actually my
Oh,
first 2
okay, okay.
songs. So, yeah.
That's cool. I don't know if you knew this, but I had a job there bagging records for a couple years.
I remember that. You know,
It was
it's
really short, but I got the job there. It was just bagging records, 50 at a time, put them in a box, ship them out, and so you were allowed to keep anything, we pressed there. So I know even behind me, I got a couple tracks I haven't even opened,
get
like
out of town. That's so
oh,
cool.
yeah.
What a
Yeah, yeah.
legendary spot. Like in Toronto, I feel like that's a documentary. I'm
Oh, yeah, I could see
sincere.
that, yeah.
You know, Stickmen, all of it was
Yeah, yeah.
they were first. I don't just like because I mean all of it, not just DJing. I mean they were DJs, they were producers, they had a record, they had 3 record labels, I think, and then they pressed the vinyl themselves, and they think maybe they were even distributing it.
Oh, yeah,
It was the
distributing
total
everything.
package before anyone was doing the total package, and
Yep.
they were like
Yeah.
I feel like they were that and Nick Holder. I don't know if this was. I think it was in around the
Nick
same
Holder was
time.
there too, yep.
You know,
Mhm.
both Stickman and Nick Holder. This is like Toronto first. I think. I mean,
Yep.
if you move away from the local stuff, I might be wrong here. I don't know. And someone in the thread, if you guys can jump on one of the apps, I think Abacus as well. I was Abacus from Toronto, or was that from Montreal? It was a house producer. So I mean, and
I don't know.
Nick's tracks were massive,
Yep.
super well respected house music, but there was so many. I don't know the names of Nick's tracks, so I can't quote them. I'm sure that he had super bona fide hits. I'm thinking about stuff on Stickman. I have some of those records, like PJ Happy Days.
Uh, it was the first one that popped into my head.
Holy, this is a worldwide. Still to this day, if you drop
Yep.
this, it's still gonna fucking work for sure. I mean, especially right
Yeah.
now, I think with all the disco revival and everything that's
Oh, yeah.
happening, with 4/4 and house music. Again, and PJ had the alias Soul Grabber, and then
Oh, that was him? Oh, cool.
yes, that was PJ as well. I mean, and this is, in my opinion, Soul Grabber, Motocross Madness, which I think was that part 3 or part 4. Both part 3 and part 4, I think, are the earliest
I know
forms
part
of
3 now. Yeah.
was tech house on one side and fucking electro house on the other. I mean, like I'll go and I'll debate this with somebody. I get it; it's not straight up saw, but I mean the filtering and stuff, and the groove of the bass line. Yes, yes, and so, anyways, I'm going off here. I adore
It's
it.
amazing stuff.
Yeah,
I've been kinda going through my vinyl lately, and so I can't wait to find one of these cubicles, which is gonna be a thick, fun, tech house. Definitive Records, I think, is on
there's
there.
there's another one.
Interpol Records. I'm trying to remember all the different labels.
Interpol.
Um, I'm probably misquoting stuff.
No,
It's been so long
yeah.
since I
So I'm
looked
not
at them,
familiar. I'm not saying you're
and
wrong.
so
I'm not
and
familiar
then
with it.
obviously the Stickman label itself.
Sure,
I mean, back in
Stickman,
the day, I
Aquarius,
remember
and I'm missing
Flipside was there
something
quite
else,
a
right?
bit. Freaky Flow was helping
Yes.
do some stuff. When they first opened, they had a party there, and Richie Houghton was there, John Acquaviva, in Thornton Hill, and I'm just like, this is so cool. Like I went to this weird, thing. Um,
A lot of
so
rave
yeah,
came out of
I'm looking
Thornhill.
forward to
A
hearing these
lot of
tracks
rave.
again. I'm going to come across them. It's been on my wish list. I just haven't hit them yet.
Right. It's just an incredible amount of history, and it's one of those things like I think to myself, if we look back at the early flyers and stuff, and the people that left Toronto and started playing elsewhere, yeah, Nick Holder and Stickman. Again, jump in and tell me I'm wrong. Let me know what's going on. I'd love to know the exact history of it. We're just guessing. You are you're magnificent. I feel like I could probably hang out online with you all night long.
I could do that. It's
Wish
been a while.
I wish we lived closer.
I've had this funny memory, and I'm curious if you remember this or
Uh-oh.
not. And I don't remember why I did it or if I was even DJing. I think you and I were in Toronto, and you had to play in Ottawa, and so we drove to Ottawa, and then um, w- and then we played. or something happened, but the party ended, and we checked into the hotel room. We had a drink, and we turned around and we went back. And then I met you many, many years later in Georgia when you played at Nashville North, and I came to watch you play. You were the opening DJ for Mogul, or I don't know his name. Um, it was a breaks guy even. It was like kind of like a progressive
Mogwai?
breaks. Mogwai, thank you. I didn't even say it correctly. But I came to see you because, well, you're DJ Jello, and you were right in my neighborhood, and so I was like, "I'm coming to see you, bud." And so we hung out for a little bit, and I remember asking you about it at the time. I was like, "Do you remember we drove to Ottawa? We turned around." You were like, "I have no clue." And I was like,
I
"Okay, well, I don't even know why I'm telling you the story." I was like, "I don't expect you even to remember it at this point," but it would always stuck to with me that I was,
no
you've definitely
mother you fucking internet.
party that I've been to in Toronto, and I can't even think of one. I like it when I'm there. I like it when I'm DJing, especially at a party. It just makes that party so much more exciting for me. I like going when I'm not playing periodically, but
Connection lost. There's a problem with the network. That's exactly what it's telling me right now. Mother. Marty, are you with me?
oh,
Are you with me?
oh,
Hey,
that's my network. Oh
sorry.
yeah,
Is it your network
yeah,
or
I'm
is it
with you.
mine? It's yours. Yeah, I just lost
I
whatever you
think it's
just.
mine. I think it's. I saw the little bar went down,
Okay,
and now
yeah.
it's back up again. That happens when.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna hang up and call you right back. That's what the fuck I'm gonna do.
Take two.
Yeah, let's take two because
All
I
right,
I can't
because
I
otherwise
I
I'm
can't
gonna
even.
go outside.
Yeah, the irony is that I don't know if I should feel blessed that it's happened or what. I can't even tell if you're frozen right now, and if you are, that is the fucking most excellent freeze we could probably get you on right now. Look at that. If you can still hear me, can you still hear me? This is what a way. Terrible, terrible, terrible. I mean, like, I feel kind of fortunate this happened at the end of the show, but at the same time, it's like, oh, wait, oh, you're moving around. What happened?
I'm gonna move
Ah,
upstairs. I got
look
you.
at you. That's a
All
nice
right.
trick. Was it just that room? Is that what was happening? Did we lose you in that room?
Yeah, I'm in the basement there, and I thought my Wi-Fi was a little bit
So,
better,
hey,
but
hey, hey,
no,
so am
no.
I.
So we're
What's
gonna.
your excuse? What's going on? We've actually had we've actually had some freezes on the show. I don't want it to totally cut out without properly saying goodbye to you. So let's be real quick because I don't want the show to end with just you static. Even though I don't know if you heard me, you froze for a second and your freeze was a totally awesome freeze. So when you go back to watch the episode, you'll see your freeze and it was fantastic. So listen,
Thank you. I aim to freeze.
let's go into fifth gear. You've got three tracks,
Okay.
Marty. Three songs that you know and love. They're
Yep.
songs that you use when you need to rescue your dance floor in an oh shit moment. I got to get it right back. Or they're songs that you trust that when everything's going great, you know it's going to elevate it to that next place. What are these three songs?
Okay. Well, only because you said the word, and I couldn't remember the track earlier that Big League Chew played, but you just said the word, so I'm now reminded of it. And now that I own it, I'm comfortable playing it all the time, so it's in my top three. It's "Rescue Me." Rescue me, I'll put you in my arms. Man, that dude played Chew played that track. Like, if he didn't play that track, it's not a good time. Like, he had to play that track all. It was like for myself, my number two would be "Ooh La La." I mean, if I didn't play "Ooh La La"
Oh,
back in the
wise
day,
guys, right?
it was a big deal.
Wise guys,
Wise
right?
guys. And for number three, what would I say is number three? Well, I just rediscovered it. It was a track by Buddy Ralph, which is I learned slip or slide, one of the 2, and they did a Madonna cover, and I was just digging through my records lately, and, I rediscovered it, so it's kind of in my top tier
Wow.
vinyl, section of, when I take something and I wanna go with it. It's in the good pile. I would say those are my definite top 3s right now.
The "Ooh La La" definitely hit me really good. That was definitely
Oh,
a moment on the dance floor. I agree. When that song came on, it was go time. Marty, if we want to listen to you online, where can we go and catch you right now?
so lately, what I've been doing is DJing on Twitch, and so I'm DJ underscore Marty McFly. I go digging through my own vinyl every Friday from 6 to 7 for an hour, and sometimes it's a hit, and sometimes it's a miss. But there's some real gems in there. I play B sides of things. Um, and so we kind of just listen to music together, and I've kind of embraced Twitch that way. I can sit and chat with everyone in there. We can discuss the music as we're listening to it. Most Sometimes I chat, sometimes I don't. And then lately, I don't know if you've known this or not, but I bought I've kind of embraced the Denon family. So I bought this Prime DJ controller.
Are you loving it?
It's like I'm getting used to it. I like it because it's new, but it's really kind of forced me to embrace a lot of the effects and things like that. And so and that's something I wanted to improve on. I had a hip hop battle mixer before, and I used that to its own extent. But now I wanted to get more into using something digital, so I bought this all in one unit, and then saved up and bought a second smaller portable one, uh, which is called the Prime 2 Go. It's battery based, and like really that is kind of the next thing I want to get into. At first, I put it on top of a baby stroller, and I called it the DJ controller, and I walked around with this thing, battery powered, with like my child in the front and a small speaker, and on Twitch, and a gimbal, and everything's like working to some degree. I'm at the point where I or hang out with some people and just talk about music, not really, like, focus on killing it on the dance floor. Like, if I'm in front of you, I'm gonna kill you on the dance floor. But, I mean, if yeah,
Well, this is absolutely exciting. Nothing beats a great technical difficulty. Yeah,
did I lose you again?
it's one of those things. I
Oh,
can't tell
no.
what's going on. Listen, I'll tell you what. Let's leave on a super high note while I've got you. You know, I love you. I appreciate you. I think that it's great
Okay,
with us tonight. Thank you so much. So if you're on Twitch, what's the
thank
coordinate?
you.
Well, I still got a mic, and I think you're frozen now in a mid rage. Okay, there we go. No, now you're. Oh, now it's love. All right. Hey, all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marty, and thanks to all of you who are with us tonight, watching, and definitely sticking around with this
I'm
very
ha
comedic moment of technical difficulties while we try and figure out what the fuck is wrong with our connection. But we know one thing's for sure: you and I